I appreciate all the creatives who wish to improve their photography and welcome to our first video on composition in photography. Today, we are going to talk about why composition is so important when it comes to creating visually pleasing images. Whether you are a professional photographer or just a hobbyist, understanding the basics of composition can take your photography to the next level. So, we begin with introduction to composition. First of all, what is composition? Simply put, composition refers to the way elements are arranged within a photograph. It's the process of deciding what to include in the frame and how to arrange it in a way that is visually appealing. Good composition can draw the viewer's eye to the most important parts of the image and create a sense of balance and harmony. The importance of composition can't be overstated. A poorly composed photograph can be distracting and unappealing, while a well-composed one can be breathtaking and memorable. The composition is the first thing that a viewer will notice, and it can make or break an image. A good composition can make a good image great, and a bad composition can make a great image bad. Before we get into the three main things you could do to improve your photography, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel because this will help the channel grow and reach many different viewers who actually wish to make a living doing photography. So as promised, here are the three main fundamentals you should keep in mind when photographing anything. Understand the rule of thirds. The rule of thirds is a guideline that suggests placing key elements of your image along the lines or intersections of an imaginary grid of 9 equal parts that divides the image into thirds, both horizontally and vertically. This simple technique can help create a sense of balance and harmony in your photographs, making them more visually pleasing. One way to visualize the rule of thirds is to imagine your photograph as a tic-tac-toe board with 2 vertical and 2 horizontal lines, dividing the image into 9 equal parts. The 4 points where the lines intersect are considered the most powerful positions in the image, and it's where you should place the main subject or focal point. For example, if you are taking a landscape photograph, you may want to place the horizon along one of the horizontal lines rather than in the middle of the frame. This creates a more interesting and dynamic composition rather than the static and unbalanced look that would result from placing the horizon in the middle. The same goes for portraits. Placing the subject's eyes along one of the intersections of the line rather than in the center of the frame will create a more dynamic and pleasing composition. In conclusion, the rule of thirds is a simple yet powerful composition technique that can help you create more visually pleasing images. By placing key elements of your image along the lines or intersections of an imaginary grid, you can create a sense of balance and harmony in your photographs. Remember, the rule of thirds is just a guideline. Don't be afraid to experiment and find what works best for you. I like to think of rule of thirds as a very important fundamental in composition because everything sort of builds upon that concept. What do you think about this? Do let me know in the comments down below if you think so too. Let's move on to the second tip of the day. Leading lines. Leading lines are lines within an image that guide the viewer's eye through the photograph and towards the main subject or the focal point. These lines can be real or implied, and they can take many forms such as roads, pathways, rivers, or even the edge of a building. When composing an image, look for lines that naturally occur within the scene and use them to lead the viewer's eye towards the main subject. This can be a powerful way to create a sense of depth and movement within an image. For example, if you are taking a landscape photograph and you have a path leading into the distance, use it as a leading line to guide the viewer's eye deeper into the scene and towards the main subject. This creates a sense of journey and can add a lot of interest into the image. However, it's important to note that leading lines should be used to enhance the overall composition of the image and not to distract from the main subject. Leading lines can also be implied, for example, by using diagonals in the composition, like the diagonal of a bridge or the edge of a building. They can guide the viewer's eye towards the main subject of the image. In conclusion, leading lines are a very powerful composition technique that can be used to guide the viewer's eye through an image and towards the main subject. By using real or implied lines within an image, you can create a sense of depth and movement and add interest into your photographs. Remember to experiment with different types of lines and compositions to find what works best for you. Leading lines are constantly all around us. Let's start making use of them, right? Moving on to the third and most fun tip on composition. symmetry and asymmetry. We are going to talk about two powerful techniques that can add interest and balance to your photographs. Symmetry is when the elements on one side of an image are mirrored onto the other side. This creates a sense of balance and order within the image and can be especially effective in architectural or still life photography. For example, if you are taking a photograph of a building, try to position yourself in a way that the building is symmetrical in the frame. This creates a sense of grandeur and can add a lot of visual interest to your image. On the other hand, asymmetry is when the elements within an image are arranged in a way that is not symmetrical. This creates a sense of imbalance and can add a lot of visual interest to the image. This also somewhat goes against the two tips mentioned previously, but that's the fun about photography, right? Sometimes the situation calls for the following rules, and sometimes you follow your heart and keep the rules at bay. For example, in a portrait, instead of placing the subject in the center of the frame, try placing them off-center. This creates a sense of tension and can add a lot of visual interest to the image, more like breaking the rule of thirds to be precise. It's important to note that both symmetry and asymmetry can be used effectively in photography, and that is the key to find the right balance for each particular image. In conclusion, playing with symmetry and asymmetry in your compositions can add a lot of interest and balance to your photographs. By understanding when to use symmetry and when to use asymmetry, you can create visually stunning images that stand out from the crowd. Remember to experiment with different compositions and find the right balance for each particular image. In conclusion, composition is a crucial aspect of photography, and understanding the basics can take your photography to the next level. We have covered some of the most fundamental composition techniques such as rule of thirds, leading lines, and playing with symmetry and asymmetry. These techniques can be used to create visually pleasing images that stand out from the crowd. Remember, composition is not a hard and fast rule. It's important to experiment with different techniques and find what works best for you. Thanks for watching, and we hope you found this video helpful and informative. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more photography tips and tricks, and don't hesitate to leave a comment if you have any questions or feedback. Keep practicing and experimenting with different composition techniques to improve your photography skill, and as always, happy shooting!